Welcome everyone to the very first lifestyle meeting of 2021, a very different meeting than we had last year and very different circumstances, but we're so happy to have you here. And for those of you that haven't been with us for 4 years in person as well as virtual, the Lifestyle Committee is a group within the LAX Chamber of Commerce, which is dedicated to the issues and challenges of women in business in our community. So we always welcome enlightened men because enlightened men are the ones who hang out with bright women. So.
Good morning, everyone. I'm Tracy, and I am here to introduce to you our first speaker today. Her name is Debra Koven. She has been a practicing attorney for 29 years. Her estate planning practice focuses on helping families with minor children in the South Bay community and surrounding areas, making sure to keep their loved ones out of court and out of conflict. She incorporates legacy planning for both monetary and intangible assets, as well as full kids protection planning. While that is her specialty area, she services all people who will need her services. She believes everyone over 18 needs some form of estate planning. While that, wait, now I messed up. She believes, everyone needs estate planning. Deborah is the proud mom of an amazing daughter. She is in the community, an active community member in Redondo Beach area and part of the LAX Coastal Chamber and is active with us as well. And we look forward to learning from her today.
Thank you so much, Tracy. I appreciate it. Hi, everyone. Welcome. Thank you for being here to listen to my presentation. I'm going to go ahead and share my screen with you. And whoops, hold on. Let's see. All right. Oops. Hold on. Stop share. Need to go into the beginning of the PowerPoint. So let me just tell you a little bit before I get started about me and what it is that I do. Again, I'm pleased to be here. I actually got dressed today and put on makeup, the whole 9 yards for you guys. So I'm sure you all understand and relate to that. Okay, I think I've got my PowerPoint ready to go now. Here we go. Okay, so let me just tell you a little about my firm story. As Tracy mentioned, I've been a practicing attorney for 29 years, but the first 20 years of that, I actually did civil litigation. And I enjoyed it. I was very passionate about it. I've been a sole practitioner for all these years. And I spent many, many hours in the courtroom and getting ready for trials. I had other lawyers come to me and ask me to try cases for them. And I really did enjoy doing that. But then about 20 years into my practice, I got married. And this beautiful child that you see here came along. This is my daughter, Nissa. You see pictures of her and my husband and I. And she really dragged me out of the courtroom because I was an older mom. I had already, I'd done well financially. I was ready to be a mom, but I still needed to pay my bills. I mean, you all can relate to that, I'm sure. So I decided to go into estate planning. And at first, estate planning wasn't really all that exciting to me. I wasn't passionate about it until I got my own estate plan done by a colleague. And after looking at it and thinking about it for a few months, I thought to myself, this person must have committed malpractice because there were so many holes and so many things about it that just simply did not make sense to me. And so I started looking around and deciding that there was a better way to practice estate planning that would not only fulfill the needs of my clients, but that would also have me be excited about the practice. And so I became what's called a personal family lawyer. There's a group of lawyers across the country that are practicing a similar way. And the truth is we are relationship-based, not transaction-based. Most estate planning attorneys that you will meet are all about the one and done. They'll get you a plan, they'll hand it to you, and they'll send you on your merry way. And that's just not simply the way that we do it. In fact, in my office, I feel that there are 3 very important aspects of planning, estate planning. And that includes, obviously, the reason that we're here today to talk about legacy planning. But in addition to that, you also need to look at planning for your children and, of course, planning for your assets. So I'm going to talk about all of these, and I'm going to start off by talking about planning for your kids. So before I get into that, maybe many of you don't really know what is an estate plan. And the truth is that most people need one, as indicated, but many people think it's just for older people or rich people or, for somebody else, and you're not ready to do it. What an estate plan really is it's a set of instructions, really, that you're going to create while you're alive for your loved ones for the time when something is going to happen to you. And I know it's morbid, but the truth is we're all going to die, and we need to plan for that. And the way you do estate planning is you make all of your own decisions ahead of time so that your loved ones don't have to do that, right? So that you can have things go the way you want it to go, and your loved ones simply follow the roadmap that you've led for them. So, and in addition to that, there's also incapacity planning, because sometimes you may get ill or you may have an accident and you're unable to take care of your own financial matters or your children. And you need to have the plans in place for those things as well. So in essence, you're giving a message to your family that you cared enough to think about them not having to do this stuff for you. So a basic estate plan usually includes a power of attorney, a healthcare directive, a HIPAA waiver, because in California, you have to have a verified HIPAA waiver, a will, and most often, typically, a living trust. So I'm going to talk a little bit about those people who have children. I'll start off with that. So what would happen to your children, especially if you have younger children, if you were out one evening with your spouse or significant other and you did not come home and you had a babysitter at home with your children? Most people don't really think about this, but you need to, because if something were to happen to you and you had a babysitter at home, what would that babysitter do if you didn't come home at the appointed time? Well, chances are they'd probably try to reach you on your cell. And if they couldn't do so after some number of hours had passed, most likely they would call the police. And what would the police do? The police would come to your home, not knowing anything about you or whether you had a plan in place or not a plan in place. And they would ask the babysitter, well, is there any family members around that you're aware of? And chances are the babysitter would have no idea. So the police would have no choice but to take your children into Child Protective Services and place them in foster care until such time as a judge could decide where your children would be placed and who would raise them. This is just part of the short term. In other words, they might be in Child Protective Services overnight for a few hours, but really, would you want your child to ever be in the care of strangers? And most of us would say resoundingly no. In the long term, it's even worse, because there may be people in your life that you would never want to have your child being cared for by that person or those people. In fact, I can give you an example in my own personal situation. If something were to happen to myself and my husband, there would probably be two different family members who would step up and say, I'll take this child. One would be my sister and one would be my husband's brother. Now, on paper, my husband's brother might look okay. He's got some parenting experience. He is home most of the time. He is, he's probably capable of taking care of a child. My sister, on the other hand, is in her 60s. She's a widow. She's got adult children. She works full time. She may not necessarily be the first choice to raise a 10-year-old child. And so it could be a toss-up for a judge to look at these two people on paper and say, well, let me choose one. Now, the truth is that a judge would never know, unless there were some kind of legal papers in place, that I would never in a million years want my brother-in-law to be the person to raise my child. My husband and I have no relationship with him. He has 3 children from 3 different mothers. He doesn't financially support any of them. So this would not be our choice. In order to make sure that that would never happen, in my office, I've developed something called a kid protection plan. And it's a method that allows you, as the parent, to decide exactly who would take care of your child in the short term, meaning in those first few hours or days after something happens to you, and then in the long term,
So maybe that's not the person, your neighbor or your nanny that you'd want raising your child, but the person that you want doesn't live in the city and they need time to get here. So I've developed a plan in order to make sure that the person who picks up your child is someone that you would want and that can make emergency medical decisions if need be. This is part of the planning that we do in my office. And the truth is that if you have minor children, you have to make a plan for them because you don't want a judge deciding for you. Okay, let's move on. I also create this card for my clients. It doesn't exactly look like this, but it's a family emergency card that goes into your wallet so that in the event you're in an accident, a police officer can look in your wallet and see that here are the people that you've already designated to pick up your child. And I, as your lawyer, have already contacted all these people as well. They have a letter, they have legal documents, they are ready to go with the drop of a hat. Okay, let's move on. So we talked a little bit about children and what would happen to them. The next item that you would need to take care of in the event that something happens to you are your assets. And if you have no plans in place, or if you have a will, then you are assuring your family of going through a court process called probate. Now, probate, there's nothing good about it. I could go into many different aspects of it, but suffice it to say that it's a long drawn out period, especially now in California with COVID. It used to be about 12 to 16 months. Now we're looking at even longer. Number two, it is extremely costly, meaning that your estate would have to be paying things like executor's fees, lawyer's fees, probate fees, appraiser fees. And in California, all those fees add up to about 5% of the fair market value of all of your stuff. So if you just merely owned a home that was worth $1 million, that probate of your estate would cost over $50,000. And most of you, of course, have additional things like retirement savings, bank accounts, life insurance. All those things get added in. So obviously probate becomes very, very costly. And no one really wants their family to have to spend the time waiting to get the financial assets that are needed to take care of your children. And those assets are tied up until a judge has determined how they should be distributed. So understand that probate not only is difficult from the standpoint that it's court and your family would have to go through court, the longer there's arguments, if there's disagreements about who's going to get your kids or your stuff, that also adds into time and cost. So probate is just simply not the way you want to go. That's why my motto is keeping your family out of court and out of conflict. When you do your estate plan, you are determining who gets all of your stuff and who also winds up raising your children. I'm going to touch briefly on something called estate taxes, because I'm sure many of you are well aware of what estate taxes are. But in California, the good news is there's no death tax. So when you die, your estate is not taxed by the state of California. However, if you are a high net worth individual and you have an excess of $11.8 million, your estate is going to be subject to an estate tax. Now, the reason I mention it is because estate taxes change over time. And with the new Biden administration coming in, those estate taxes may wind up dropping substantially. In fact, in the early 2000s, estate taxes were only $675,000. So that meant if your estate was over $675,000 when you died, the amounts over $675,000 were taxed at a very high rate. So again, that's money out of your family's pocket. The good thing about estate planning is we have mechanisms in place to help you and your family avoid having to pay those estate taxes. And with the new coming administration, it's something that you need to be aware of, because as time changes, your life changes, the law changes, so do estate taxes. So that's another reason why it's very important for you to have a good relationship with an estate planning attorney who's always going to have your back. All right, moving on. The last factor, and obviously the reason that we're here to talk a little bit, is about the legacy aspect of planning. Of course, every lawyer that's out there is going to help you pass on your assets, your financial assets. But what's really important to me, and we talked briefly about this in our breakout room, is really your legacy. And what is your legacy? Your legacy is your stories, your values, things about you that you want to pass on to your family members, because that's really what makes you you. So in my office, I sit down with all of my clients and we record audio recording, because most people don't like to be on video, but we can do video, a legacy interview. And what do I mean by that? I call it the priceless conversation, because you really cannot put a dollar value on passing down to your children, your family members, your grandchildren, who you were as people, right? Talking about your ancestry, talking about the people that were very important to you in your life as you grew up. And then the messages that you want to leave to your children as they are getting older and you are no longer there to be with them, maybe at very key moments in their lives, such as maybe your child is getting married and you've already passed on. And you want to make sure that you give them some of the tidbits, some of the information, some of the messages, some of the advice that you would give them on their wedding day. Or perhaps the first grandchild is being born and you're not there. And you want to make sure that you leave messages, because really it is important for your grandchildren to have heard your voice. As I was saying in our breakout room, I'm the youngest of the family. Both of my parents were the youngest of many children. By the time I came along, all my grandparents were already dead. I never heard their voices. I never got to see anything other than black and white photos of them. And so part of doing the legacy interview is leaving these special messages for your children, for your grandchildren, and being able to tell them about who you were as a person and what made you you. So the legacy planning for me is really one of the best parts of what I do. It's truly a very bonding experience with my clients. And the good thing is, because I've developed a relationship with my clients, we continue to meet. So every 3 years I get together with my clients and we record a new legacy interview, a new priceless conversation. It's how I maintain a relationship with my clients and constantly keep them up to date in terms of their estate planning. All right, so my time is running a little short. Let me run through my last couple slides here. This just runs through the typical experience that you get with an estate planner, which is one and done. Here's your documents, go have a nice life. You don't get that with me. It's flat fees. You choose the fee depending on the level of planning you want. I'm going to make sure that your kids are protected. I'm going to keep your family out of court and out of conflict. I'm going to help you be empowered through education to make the right decisions for your family. And I'm going to give you a lifetime of guidance, including passing down your personal legacy. So if you're interested and want to learn more, I'm open to answering some questions, but also feel free to private message me here in the chat, or you can email me, or you can call me. And for those of you who are here on this call, I was going to limit it to 5, but there's so few of you that, you know, if everyone here wants a free, what I call family wealth planning session, that is my initial 2-hour working meeting, then just contact me, reach out to me, and we can sit down and we can talk about your plan, or I can review your existing plan that you may have. So that's a little bit about me. That's a little bit about my what I do for a living, how I enjoy my practice, how I feel that passing on legacy is so incredibly important. In fact, most people believe that passing on their legacy is even more important than passing on just their stuff. All right, I'm going to stop my share now. And I know that there's going to be a question and answer later on. So let me just take this opportunity to say thank you for listening to me and paying attention to my presentation. Let me also say, just to John, to talk to you, elder care and planning for the future is part of what I do as well. So I'm happy to speak with you about that. And in line with what I was just talking about, this legacy planning, I'm now very pleased to introduce Hale Shoa, who is I should say she's a self-prescribed personal archivist. She is going to talk to you now about her company, Picturely. It is amazing. I talk about handing down your legacy with your personal stories. She's going to help you get your digital life in order so that she can help you pass down your legacy from the standpoint of all of your videos and pictures and all the digital content that you have in your life. I felt a real connection with her when I first met her. And I think she is the master curator of the digital world. And it's very important to think about the thousands of pieces of digital content you have on your phone and on your computer. And we all know we have them. And Hale is the person to help you get all that organized. Take it away, Hale.
Thank you so much for the introductions, Deborah. And that was a great presentation. Thank you so much. It was really, really informative and very helpful. I am going to be presenting my screen and I'm going to put it in presentation mode. As Deborah mentioned, my name is Hale. I'm the founder of Picturely. We do photo management and design of all things to do with your memories, whether it's digital or analog, which I will explain. So we help families, and we also are starting to work with, excuse me, historical societies, and definitely also small businesses as well. So this is a little bit about my story. I was born in Iran, and my family had to flee the Iranian Revolution in 1979. And they basically had to leave with the shirt on their backs. And luckily, my mother was able to put all the family memories in 2 suitcases, and actually just one, and get them out. So, and I ended up working in advertising in my career. And in the slow days, I would actually go into the studio and start scanning all of my memories. The picture on the right is me when I was 6 months old in my uncle's garden, and the picture on the left are my parents' wedding. So we didn't have a lot of memories, but these became the most precious for us to be able to learn from our past, because none of us have been able to go back to Iran yet. And I took the love of my own family memories as well as what I've learned in my career, and I started Picturely. So who do we serve? So we serve families who are overwhelmed by their digital files. There's the husband stuff, the wife stuff, the children stuff, and there's digital files lurking in the cloud and on your external hard drives. And we've just lost count of how to get access to that, and just really how to enjoy it. I know, we all became a photographer when the smartphone came out in 2007, which was a great thing. But to manage all the chaos has been really overwhelming for all of our clients. People who are anxious to lose them, how do they back them up? A lot of our clients are fearful of not being able to access their older photos because they may be in shoeboxes in the garage, getting moldy, discolorating. Our clients who just want to just look through their childhood photos. And many of our clients who are downsizing, they just don't know what to do with all their stuff, right? Not just their photos, but then when it comes to their memories, those are the hardest things to let go of. And what a lot of people don't realize is that they can preserve them and make them digital, and either stow away the analog stuff, or I dare say throw them away. And a lot of our elderly clients are just distressed over losing their stories. So we actually offer doing legacy films as well, as Deborah mentioned. So how do we go about doing this? We basically, without going into much detail, because I don't have a lot of time, but if there is a memory, we can preserve it and we can organize it, whether it's in a photo album, the frame on your wall, or digital files, children's art. you name it, we can do it for you guys. And we typically definitely make sure that all of our clients have 3 backups, whether it's in their home or in the cloud. We digitize all the analog stuff and marry it with the digital stuff. And we create a sortable, searchable, secure, and shareable cohesive library for all of our clients. And the best part is what happens before and after. So we could basically get, this is an example of one of my clients. They had a bunch of different iPhoto libraries, and what we ended up doing is taking it and deduping all the duplicates. And in the end, they were able to get a cohesive library afterwards. And we can make personal websites with all of your assets so you can easily enjoy and share with family members. Of course, you know, a lot of our clients are drowning in old cassettes and VHS and everything like that. So it's much easier to be able to enjoy your memories once it's digitized. You know, this was one of our clients that had so many generations of memories that she literally did not know what to do with. So we worked through months and months together to help her organize it and digitize everything and put everything in archival boxes for her. We have restoration services for those who are interested in, you know, making sure that the discoloration and everything like that gets preserved. And of course, we can make family albums with what we preserve. Those are the fun parts. Wedding albums and archival albums and gallery walls. I think that was my time. Is that right? Or do I have more time?
If you have a couple more, you can take a couple more minutes.
Yes. So, and we also make really super fun projects with memories. This was a poster that we did for one of our clients. Their son, it was their son's bar mitzvah, and they wanted to do something really unique. So this was, this photo mosaic poster was done with 2,000 individual photos that you could actually see, because the poster was really large. So you can actually really see the individual photos. And they loved this project so much that they ended up not having anyone sign the poster. So they just kept the poster and had another book for the signing. We also do video montages. We don't have time for me to play this, but we do a lot of video montages, a lot of celebration films. And of course, we could do for any type of occasion. And my favorite is the legacy films and biographies, where we interview subjects about their life and produce a documentary film of their life that includes all of their family photos, memorabilia, historical footage, and we include licensed music as well. And yeah, this concludes my presentation.
Wonderful, Haley. Thank you so much, Deborah and Haley. You both are amazing. And I love how one plays into the other. I mean, how fantastic is that? So we are going to go to Q&A. So if Bobby, you want to take over and do our Q&A, we'd love to have you start. And if people want to raise their hand because they did not put a question in the question or in the chat, then you're welcome to raise your hand and ask questions as well.
Okay. I have 3 questions, and if I've missed anyone, please, give me a shout out. But the 3 questions that I have, let me just get to my notes here. The first one was from Tracy, I believe, and it was, thank you, Deborah. My question is, what resources, no, this is from Kristen, I'm sorry. What resources would you direct someone to if they want to learn more or read more about estate/legacy planning?
Sure, absolutely. So I would invite you, obviously, Kristen, I think you're the one who's in Washington. And so I'm happy to send you information about estate planning if you give me your specific areas of interest. I do send out a bi-monthly or twice a month e-blast that has different information about estate planning. But if you want to sit down with me, any of you, you get 2 hours of my time. It doesn't cost you a dime. You can ask all the questions that you want to ask. It's a no obligation meeting. That's what I was making my offer to you. Ordinarily, that's a $750 meeting. I'm happy to sit with you and talk to you. I could do it on Zoom. But in general, I would say there are estate planning attorneys in every state. There are different laws in every state, so it really varies from state to state. California is not a probate friendly place, so most people who have property and children want a trust to avoid probate. And I'm happy to talk to anybody who has questions, specific questions. Obviously, I can't answer a specific question here personal to you, but in general, there's a lot of, I'm not sure that there's like an estate planning magazine that you would be interested in. That would be pretty dull. But I'm happy to direct you to my website for various information, or I can send you articles that I've written in the past, depending on the specific area that you're talking about.
Great. And Deborah, while we're on you, and then I have two so far for Hillel. Do you only do estate planning for California residents? And I think you might have touched that, but can you be definitive in your answer?
Well, yeah, because it's state to state, and I'm only licensed to practice
In the state of California, but as a personal family lawyer, the group of lawyers that I am in that practice in a similar way are all over the country. So I have many, many colleagues. If you have family members in other states, please reach out to me. I'm happy to help you find someone in the state that you're in or that they're in to assist you. And right now, I can do just about everything virtually, with the exception of a signing meeting. So documents still have to be signed in front of a notary in California, unfortunately, but much of this can be done virtually. So that's the good news. And that's the same in most states as well, that things can be done virtually. So even if you're in the northern part of the state and you need help in the southern part of the state, I can do that.
Mm-hmm. And we have an unbelievable virtual mobile rotor. I'll unhook my mouth and try again. We have an unbelievable mobile notary in Julie Rice. So I don't know if you guys have met each other yet, but that might be a good connection for both of you, Deborah. Okay, so now we have some video questions. First one is, when taking from different media types, how do you determine what goes together?
We work with the client on determining the year, and all the media that we preserve, meaning we scan or digitize, we make sure that the information in the file has been updated to the correct year or at least decade. And we always include the who, what, where in the file. So anything that we digitize and preserve, we ensure that the information is preserved in there for generations to come. So when your great grandchildren are accessing the files, they know exactly who was in the photos or videos and what the story was.
Cool. So I guess, and going back to the question, which was from Colleen, I do believe you can mix medias. Yeah. So whatever is appropriate, you can lump in together and
That's right. Yes. I mean, really quickly, our process is to digitize anything that's analog and organize all the things that are digital, and we bring it all together. Mm-hmm. The largest library we've ever digitized was from 1839 to 2020.
Wow, that's big. And one other question for you. Can you speak to us about digital conversion of old tapes, videos, etc.? I suspect this is more of a technical.
So we do everything in-house. except for film, which is, it's really, really important to us for our clients to know and understand that we take better care of their memories than we take care of ourselves, really, because it's the only thing that it's the most precious thing that families have. So I've developed a lot of workflows and invested in many different equipment to be able to do this all within our own office and do it in-house.
Fabulous. Yeah, as someone who is, if you follow me on social media, I've been using old photos and found ways. I mean, believe it or not, inside of Notes, there's a scan capability, which is better than taking a picture of a picture. So yeah, it's really something to start going back and reflecting. So wonderful. Both of you, wonderful job. Thank you. I don't think there's any other questions. So
I think we're good on the questions. That was awesome, ladies. That was really some key information. I think it's important, we like to reach out to each other after any of our connections. And it's a great opportunity to really do a one-on-one, get to know you, do a virtual coffee, whatever we can do these days to connect. So I think we're getting close. Kelly, are you on? Well, what we're going to do as we get close to the end of this, I do want to make an announcement for February's lifestyle. So February 2021, every February we like to get into the heart. Sometimes we have doctors, sometimes we bring in the woo factor. So we're excited that next month we really are going to talk about the mind and heart connection and manifesting your heart's desire. So that is going to be on Thursday, February 11th, if you want to mark your calendars. And we're excited to have all of you and bring friends. And we're going to get 2020's past, 2021 on the books. Life is changing for the better. And I think February is going to help us set up the rest of the year. So Kelly, I'm going to pass to you.
Awesome. Thank you, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us today. It's been fantastic having you here, and we're so happy that you were able to join Lifestyles Group. Thank you for everyone for just being a part of this morning, and also thank you, Hale and Deborah, for your amazing presentations. It's so great to learn about something that I see clapping. Yay. John, thanks for starting it. But it's so wonderful to learn about something that we don't always learn about, or that we don't always think about. It's in the back of our minds, but we don't always think about it. And so it's great to have you all here.
Actually, I completely forgot to mention that I offer complimentary consultation to talk to you about your memories. And you can get a hold of me at hale@picturely.com. You can visit my website. Sorry, I totally forgot to mention that.
Perfect. Thank you, Hale. And then Hale and Deborah, if you haven't already added your information to the chat, that would be wonderful as well. And thank you, everybody, for joining us today.